Hey, what's up, you guys? I'm back with another video. So I don't know if you guys probably have heard, but Nikki Bella, she had, a lot of backlash after she was thanked by Iyo Sky on an episode of Monday Night Raw. Iyo Sky, they had a backstage segment, and Iyo Sky, she said, "Oh my gosh, Nikki, thank you so much. You paved the way." And that set the internet ablaze. And there's been this whole debate like, did the Bella twins pave the way for women's wrestling or did they not? And honestly, I'll say this. If you are on the side of they didn't, you would be right. And if you are on the side of they did, you'd also be right. Because I'm in the middle and there really is a 50-50 argument. And let me break it down why. But first I want to say this. This is not a video to bash the Bella twins. I'm just speaking from an objective standpoint. Okay, so let me break it down for people. But let me explain why people are upset before I have... Well, actually, I guess it would be easier to explain the Bella twins fan side first. Okay, so a lot of people, they say the Bella twins, they deserve the credit because they had the show Total Divas, which a lot of women on the main roster have said that was their inspiration for getting into wrestling, which is pretty much it, really. But they also have this, they risk their bodies, they put their bodies on the line, for the fans. And yeah, they were like Nikki Bella, she had worked so hard that her neck, started to bruise. But the thing is, if you say that applies to every woman who's ever stepped foot in the ring. So, like Kelly, Rosa Mendez, Candice Michelle, Dawn Marie, Tori Wilson, Stacy Keibler, they had taken bumps as well. Even though Stacy and Tori, they weren't really in any hardcore matches and, didn't really use weapons like a chair or whatever. They still were out there, taking moves. I don't know if Tori Wilson ever had a move done to her by a man or not. I'll have to go check again. But I know Stacy, I'm pretty sure her and Trish, they got power bombed through a table or so. Even Lita. So what I'm saying is the Bella twins, yes, they did put their bodies on the line. Yes, they did compete in those 5-minute matches like, the other women have done. But I feel like personally that the Bella twins, they have gotten a lot more recognition in WWE compared to the other women, and that's why people are upset. Well, I mean, that's not even how I feel. That really is how people feel. That's how people see it. Because you have people that the Bella twins have gotten in the Hall of Fame before, like, for example, Chyna, Mickie James, Victoria, Jazz. Those women who had came before them, and they still are paid dust. Victoria, she was on an episode of SmackDown this year. But, they just like, oh, it's Victoria, she's a legend, she wrestled back in the day. It's like, she deserves a lot more than to just be called a legend. She should be in the Hall of Fame. Victoria was somebody who actually put over the Bella twins on her way out, along with Michelle McCool, who also got inducted before her. Victoria, she had wrestled from 2002 to 2009 in WWE, and then after that, she still continued to wrestle. I forgot which year she retired, but she retired in the mid-2010s. So she had a pretty lengthy career. And in WWE, they still haven't inducted her. I mean, a lot of people, they make this whole argument as if, oh, she has some content out there, but Sunny's in the Hall of Fame, she has content out there too. You know what I mean? Chyna and Victoria, they both deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, especially Chyna. So I'm going to talk about Chyna. The Bella twins, I feel like the way that they get treated is low-key kind of, I guess I would say karma in a way, because there was an interview from 2013 where the Bella twins, they were on what was it called, Fashion Police, and they had a segment where the woman who was hosting the show, she said that Chyna had looked like a man, and then Nikki Bella was like, yeah, we don't know if it's a man or a woman. And it's like, if it wasn't for Chyna, she's the woman who paved the way. She's one of the women who paved the way for the Bella twins to even have a job. So the fact that they would go out there and they would, well, it was really Nikki. I don't really recall Brie saying anything. I guess she just laughed. But Nikki, the fact that she went out there and she thought that it would have been a great idea or funny to just poke a little fun at Chyna is very disrespectful. And yeah, she apologized for it, but you have to keep in mind her apology happened in 2021. So the apology didn't even happen when Chyna was alive. Could have apologized the day after it happened or apologized a lot sooner. The interview 2013, then the apology 2021. And it's not like she was a teenager or a child when this happened. Nikki was 29 during this interview. So a grown woman, her brain fully matured and went out there and was like, hey, we don't know if she's a man or not. So it's a lot of people are looking at that and they're saying, this is somebody who claims to be a champion for women's wrestling and somebody who supports other girls, but she would laugh at one who was muscular, even though China and her didn't work in WWE at the same time, you know, showed a little bit of respect for somebody who was out there in 1997, going out there on TV with a muscular physique, whooping around the boys and making women's wrestling look cool. Because a lot of the women before China, they weren't really doing much in WWE. They were just used as valets. There weren't really women in, you know, wrestling, and if they were, they weren't putting on like real matches and stuff like the ones that we're getting today. China, she is somebody who went out there and, you know, really helped elevate the division, and he made it more serious, especially her feud with China, which is, you know, one of the very popular feuds that gets talked about. So the Bella Twins, when you compare the stuff that they did for women's wrestling compared to a lot of the other women, that's another reason why people look at it and they'll be like, this is why they shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, because look at all the stuff the women did versus what they did. The Bella Twins, they are total divas. So we're comparing somebody like Total Divas, the Bella Twins, being on a reality show and inspiring more girls to come on there, to somebody like Lita, who has to go out there and do that live celebration with Edge and be humiliated on TV every single week, going out there being called every single name in the book. When she was also another woman who was out there doing this, like the moves that the guys were doing, like the Jeff Hardys and the Matt Hardys. You know, she was high flying, she was risk taking when there was girls out there that were just going around having slap fights. Lita, she put in that work. She was breaking her neck. She got an injury. You know what I mean? She gave it her all in the ring. And Trish Stratus as well. Trish Stratus, she came in as a pretty face, but then eventually she learned the ropes and she was out there, she was getting injured as well. So a lot of people feel like this is a slap in the face, you know, to the women who actually had to go out there and get shamed and get embarrassed, to the ones who had bad things happen to them on TV, for people to realize that this is wrong. Like, they had to go through those things, so to make things easier for women, like Trish Stratus getting on her knees and barking like a dog, for her to be in those on-screen relationships with Vince McMahon. Same thing with Molly Holly. She had got inducted the same year as them, but Molly Holly, you know, if you ever listen to any of the matches and stuff and you hear the commentators talking about her, you know, they were saying some really terrible things about her, and the things that they were saying, you know, they wouldn't be able to say that now. And not even just Molly Holly, but some other women, you know, they were like heavily talked about in a negative way if they weren't attractive, and the ones who were attractive, they were also, you know, being talked about in ways that definitely would rub a lot of people the wrong way. So the women, they had to go through all of those hardships and those struggles just to be paid dust. Meanwhile, the Bellas, they're like, oh yeah, our reality show inspired a lot of women, so yeah, I guess we get to be getting special treatment. Because there was Natalia, she had said Nikki Bella, she didn't want any special treatment, but a lot of people are saying the special treatment was Iyo Sky going out there and saying that she was somebody who paved the way. And that one thing that she said is crazy, because it was just like, that's all she said, but it really did rub a lot of people the wrong way, like I said, because Iyo Sky, she is one of the best wrestlers in WWE right now, and a lot of people would argue in the world. And she actually did debut before Nikki Bella. She debuted in 2007, and Nikki Bella, she had debuted in 2008. I mean, obviously, you know, they were both training, you know, before they had gotten into WWE. Iyo Sky, she was probably training in like the early 2000s and stuff, and the Bella Twins, they were also training in like the mid 2000s. But the thing is that people the wrong way about the Bella Twins is that the Bella Twins, they got hired because they had a pretty face, you know, and also the appeal was that they were twins. A lot of people feel like if they weren't twins, then they wouldn't have as much appeal to them. And on top of that, people crediting the Total Divas and stuff, they see it as in the reason why they even had that show to begin with is because of John Cena dating Nikki Bella, you know, that high profile relationship, and also the fact that John Laurinaitis, the guy who hired them, is their stepdad. So, you know, when you have those types of power plays, you know, you have people who are in such high positions. You know, John Laurinaitis, he can hire people, he can fire people. He literally was like one of Vince McMahon's right hand men, and John Cena, you know, that was the golden boy of WWE, and he still is, you know, right now in 2025. Even though he doesn't show up anymore, you know, like John Cena, he will always be somebody who has a lot of, you know, recognition, a lot of love and respect for how long he had been working and being the face of WWE. So people are like, you know, if you take away Total Divas, then nothing changes, which, you know, that is debatable, because some people, they're like, their argument is, well, Total Divas brought me into wrestling and I didn't know anything about it. But like I said earlier, a lot of people, they don't feel comfortable with somebody saying, you are comparing somebody being on reality TV to women who actually went out there and didn't get hired because of their looks, like the Beth Phoenixes and the Chynas. and the Awesome Kongs and the stuff that they were doing for wrestling. And also, WWE wrestling, the women's division isn't just the only women's division in the world. You also have the women that were like Gail Kim and Awesome Kong and TNA, the women of TNA, who went out there and they were putting on those matches. Like, they were doing freaking street fights in TNA. They were doing cage matches in TNA. Those girls, they were getting put through the wire. While WWE divas, they were being put in bikini contests. And people can say like, yeah, but the Bella Twins, they only had 5 minutes to go out there, so they did the best with what they got. That's paving the way for other women to go out there. But like people have said, a lot of other women, like every woman who was in WWE before the year 2015, they were also in those matches, in the 5-minute matches, the water breaks, as people would call it, the bathroom breaks and stuff. So a lot of people feel like the Bella Twins are being held to a higher standard than they should be, and they also feel like a lot of other women are being, left out, and they should be getting the recognition that the Bella Twins have gotten. So like I said earlier about the whole Hall of Fame thing, the people are really upset because the Bella Twins had gotten in before a lot of women who they felt were more deserving, and on top of that, they had gotten in before a lot of male legends as well, like Lex Luger, Psycho Sid, Batista, John Cena, Undertaker, Kane. I think they went in the same year as Kane. I'm not exactly sure when he went in, but it was definitely around that time. So people, they have just, I guess, have had it with the Bella Twins. And like I said, this isn't me trying to be on the side of the people hating, but like, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I don't understand why people don't like the Bellas, because like I said, I do understand why people don't like them. The Bella Twins, the way that WWE has treated them has rubbed people the wrong way. But it really isn't the Bella Twins' fault in a way, about how the WWE has treated them over the past few years after, their Hall of Fame introduction. Because like, I remember when Nikki Bella, when she had made her appearance, I think it was on the Raw on Netflix. And a lot of people, they had saw it because they were like, hey everybody, look, it's Nikki Bella, WWE legend, WWE Hall of Famer Nikki Bella. She's here on the Raw Netflix debut. We're so excited to see Nikki. She's a trailblazer, she pioneer. And you look at those comments and people will be like, this is a joke. This is a slap in the face to all the women who came before her. Where's Victoria? Why isn't she getting this treatment? So it really is gonna be, with the Bella Twins, there's always gonna be some type of negativity surrounding their Hall of Fame introduction and the way that they're coming back to WWE, because they also did, after WWE, they distanced themselves from WWE and they did talk trash about WWE, which a lot of people don't like. So, you have people coming out here just saying Nikki Bella, she's just crawling back because she has to pay child support and stuff. And it's pretty harsh for people to say that. I mean, I don't think that that's the reason why she's coming back to WWE, because, she has a lot of money already. So I don't think that that's the reason why. But there's a lot of people, they don't like her comeback because a lot of people believe that this is evolution thing that they have going on, because there's rumors that Brie Bella and Nikki are going to be in a feud like for the tag titles against Liv and Raquel at Evolution. And a lot of people are like, the Bellas, they're old, they're washed up. This is going to be taking away opportunities from younger women like Liv Morgan, and that them having the tag titles wouldn't do anything for women's wrestling. They set women's wrestling back. So like I said, there's always going to be a debate. If you are a Bella Twin fan, you're always going to have to be going against those people who say that they didn't contribute anything, and then vice versa. If you're one of those people who says that they didn't contribute anything, you're always going to have to go against and argue with those people who say that the Bella Twins did a lot. But like I said, at the end of the day, everybody's entitled to their opinion. You know what I mean? The Bella Twins, they did contribute things to wrestling as far as bringing more eyes to it. But I mean, I can't really say that they have done as much as the other women, but I'm not gonna shame them for that. So I'm not upset with them being in the Hall of Fame. I'm not gonna, try to downplay their career and their role in women's wrestling. So yeah, that's really all I have to say about that. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Do you guys think that the Bella Twins deserve the hate that they've been getting? Do you think that it's undeserved? You know what I mean? Let us know in the comments down below. Make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Tell your family, tell your friends. This is Jay from Backlash Podcast, and I'm signing out. Thank you for listening. Peace out.